16 people dead in 48 hours. And nobody saw it coming. 930 people had to be evacuated before they froze to death in their own homes. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. This didn't happen in Alaska, didn't happen in Canada, didn't even happen in the Midwest. This happened in one of the most prepared cities on Earth. From late January through early February, something historic slammed into the Northeast. And when I say historic, I mean the kind of cold that literally froze a river solid. So buckle up, because what went down in New York City is absolutely insane. Let's start with the snow, because this wasn't your typical winter dusting. Central Park got hammered with 11.4 inches. That's 29 centimeters for anyone keeping track. But Washington Heights and Staten Island, they got absolutely buried. We're talking nearly 15 inches, almost 38 centimeters of pure white chaos. Now here's where it gets brutal, because the snow was just the opening act. Temperatures dropped below 0 Fahrenheit and just stayed there, day after day. That's negative 18 Celsius, if you're watching from literally anywhere else in the world. And when I say cold, I mean the kind of cold that does things you wouldn't believe. The Hudson River, the actual Hudson River around Manhattan, started freezing over. Yeah, you heard that right. Ice was forming on one of the busiest waterways in America. But honestly, the weather stats are nothing compared to what it did to people. This is the part that hits different. So I need you to really listen up. Official reports confirmed 16 deaths in New York City directly linked to this storm. Most of these people died from hypothermia, which is just a clinical way of saying they froze to death. And across the entire Northeast, dozens more lost their lives during this winter nightmare. Now, let me paint you a picture of what the city looked like during all this. Every single borough, all 5 of them, turned into parking lots of snow and ice. Ambulances couldn't reach patients. Fire trucks got stuck trying to respond to emergencies. Even something as simple as getting food delivered became impossible. DoorDash, Uber Eats, all of them had to completely shut down operations because the roads were just too dangerous. And then the power started going out, which in negative 18-degree weather is basically a death sentence. Hundreds of thousands of homes across the region lost electricity. NYC dealt with rolling blackouts and service disruptions all over the place. Heavy snow combined with brutal winds put so much strain on the electrical grid that things just started failing. Schools closed. Courthouses shut down. Government offices went dark. The entire city basically hit the pause button because staying outside meant risking your life. But here's something nobody talks about that made everything 10 times worse. Garbage collection completely stopped for over a week in some neighborhoods. Think about that for a second. 8 million people generating trash every single day with nowhere for it to go. Mountains of garbage bags piled up on sidewalks, frozen solid under layers of snow and ice. In neighborhoods like the Bronx and parts of Queens, the trash piles got so high they blocked entire sidewalks. People had to walk in the streets just to get around, which obviously made already dangerous roads even more deadly. And when the snow finally started melting, that's when things got absolutely disgusting. Weeks worth of rotting garbage thawing out all at once. The smell was reportedly unbearable. Sanitation trucks couldn't physically access streets that were still covered in compacted ice and snow. So the city had to prioritize clearing snow just so they could then collect the garbage that had been accumulating. This created a vicious cycle where resources meant for one problem had to be diverted to solve another. Now let's talk money for a second, because the financial damage is absolutely staggering. While New York-specific numbers are still being calculated, the nationwide estimates from insurance companies are wild. We're looking at billions with a B, billions of dollars in damages across the country. Private homes, commercial buildings, vehicles, critical infrastructure. Everything took a beating. The weight of all that snow and ice crushed roofs, snapped power lines, overwhelmed drainage systems. But here's where the story actually gets kind of inspiring. Not gonna lie, the city's response to this catastrophe was honestly next level. New York activated what's called a Code Blue status the moment temperatures hit life-threatening levels. This meant opening warming centers in all 5 boroughs, making sure anyone who needed shelter could find it. The city added 50 dedicated shelter units plus 20 mobile warming stations on top of what already existed. These weren't just random buildings. They were strategically placed to help homeless individuals and anyone struggling to stay warm. And check this out. More than 930 people were transported to safe locations during the worst of it. High-risk individuals got prioritized and evacuated to emergency shelters as fast as humanly possible. But the real heroes of this story, the sanitation workers clearing all that snow. Picture this, 2,500 workers per shift, grinding out 12-hour rotations. That's non-stop operations around the clock in negative 18-degree temperatures. These people were out there, while the rest of us were huddled inside, trying not to freeze. The city deployed 8 snowmelter stations, one strategically placed in each borough to process all the collected snow. This helped deal with the absolutely massive piles of snow that were building up everywhere. And get this number, they melted over 23 million pounds of snow so far. That's roughly 10,000 tons, which is just a mind-blowing amount when you actually think about it. Remember those 116 million pounds of salt I mentioned at the very beginning? Yeah, all of that got spread across every major road and highway to prevent ice from forming. That's enough salt to fill over 50 Olympic swimming pools. Just so you can visualize the scale here, critical locations got hit first to keep emergency services and hospitals accessible, no matter what. Over 13,800 crosswalks got cleared to make sure pedestrians could move safely. More than 12,600 bus stops, so public transportation could somehow keep operating. And this is crucial. 4,400 fire hydrants were dug out and made accessible. Because in an emergency situation, firefighters need immediate access to water or people die. It's that simple. Now, I want to hear from you watching this right now. Where are you tuning in from? Are you somewhere dealing with crazy winter weather too? Or are you watching this from somewhere warm, just grateful you're not here? Drop your city or state in the comments and let me know what kind of conditions you're facing. I'm trying to figure out which areas to cover next, so your input actually helps shape future content. Boston, Philadelphia, DC, Chicago, Minneapolis, Toronto, wherever you're at, let me know below. Because this storm system didn't just hit New York, it affected a massive chunk of the Northeast and beyond. Cities like Philadelphia got absolutely pummeled with similar brutal conditions. Boston saw some of the heaviest snowfall they've experienced in over a decade. Washington, D.C. dealt with significant accumulation and dangerous cold snaps that shut down the federal government. Even areas as far out as the Great Lakes region felt the impact of this historic winter blast. And here's something that should honestly concern everyone watching this. As our climate continues to shift in unpredictable ways, extreme weather events like this one are becoming more common. Not just more common, but potentially more severe, and definitely more unpredictable. Which means staying informed and being prepared isn't just smart. It's literally life or death. So, if you're in an area that's prone to winter storms, and honestly, most of the US is at this point, listen up. Make sure you've got emergency supplies ready to go before the next storm hits. Water, non-perishable food, flashlights with extra batteries, warm blankets, portable chargers, all the essentials. Check on your elderly neighbors and anyone who might be vulnerable during extreme cold conditions. Community support can literally mean the difference between life and death in situations like what New York just went through. Let me break down what's potentially coming next for the region, because it's not exactly great news. Meteorologists are tracking another system that could hit the Northeast in the coming weeks. Early forecasts suggest it might not be as severe as what we just saw, but it's definitely something to watch. For those of you in Boston, you're looking at potential accumulations of 6 to 10 inches over the next 10 days. Philadelphia might see similar numbers with temperatures hovering just below freezing. DC is expected to get lighter snowfall, but could face another round of dangerous wind chills. Chicago and the Midwest are bracing for what meteorologists are calling a potential polar vortex event. That's fancy weather talk for temperatures that could drop to negative 30 Fahrenheit in some areas. And for anyone in the Great Lakes region, lake effect snow is going to be your worst enemy for the foreseeable future. The bottom line here is that this storm was a massive wake-up call for the entire region. New York City's response highlighted both the incredible challenges of dealing with extreme weather infrastructure and also demonstrated just how crucial coordinated emergency management systems really are, from the massive deployment of resources to those life-saving shelter operations. It took an all-hands-on-deck, whole-city effort to get through this brutal winter event. So here's what I need from you right now. Which cities should I be covering for weather updates moving forward? Are you dealing with extreme heat waves, devastating flooding, hurricane preparations, wildfire threats. Let me know what kind of weather information would actually be helpful for your specific region. Because the goal here isn't just to report on disasters after they happen. The goal is to give you the information you need to prepare before things go sideways. If you found this breakdown valuable and you want more content like this, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be tracking these weather systems as they develop. And here's the thing. This storm in New York, it's probably not the worst we're going to see this year. Climate data suggests we're entering a pattern that could produce even more extreme events. So staying informed isn't optional anymore. It's survival. Stay safe out there, everyone. Look out for each other during these extreme conditions. And remember, one share of this video could help someone prepare for what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one with more updates as this situation develops.